Right, Avery, as you said, members of Congress are in their home states for the spring recess, as is our guest today. He is Senator David Vitter, and he joins us today to talk about some things going on Capitol Hill.
Yep.
Senator Vitter, welcome to This Week in Louisiana
Thanks, Mike, very much.
Well, let's talk about the gridlock in Washington, because I know you've got to be hearing it. A Gallup poll recently said that Congress's approval rating has fallen to 15%, the lowest since they started asking the question all the way back in 1974. What needs to happen to kind of break this cycle?
Well, first of all, I mean, some things are so bad, I just wonder who that 15% are and what they're smoking. But, yeah, I mean, what's fundamentally happening is we have two very different visions for how to move forward on big issues like deficit and debt. And one side says raise taxes $1.5 trillion. The conservative side that I'm on said we just raise taxes. We need real spending reform and cuts. Those are some pretty fundamental differences, and I don't know if they're going to be resolved immediately. What I try to do is look for other areas that are not partisan, not so ideological, like the Farm Bill or like the Water Resources Bill, to work with folks across the aisle and get some things done. So I do think there are real prospects for some success in those other areas. But the big national debate issues, deficit and debt, I think there is just some very fundamental disagreement.
A lot of farmers I speak to want to know about the Farm Bill. Congress extended that bill through September of this year, but a lot of farmers were looking for a new one. Where do we stand right now on Farm Bill?
Well, that's still up in the air. I'm hopeful, but it's not certain by any means. I'm hopeful we can pass a good bipartisan Farm Bill at least by the end of the calendar year. Of course, the clock is ticking. We'd like to do it sooner, but at least by the end of the calendar year. I voted against the last Senate Farm Bill because it was very unfair to Louisiana agriculture in particular, and some of our crops like rice and sugar. I thought the House version was fair to many of our crops. I think from that perspective things are moving in the right direction, and we'll get some movement on those crops that treats us more fairly, doesn't put draconian cuts our way. And so I'm hopeful we can piece together a good Farm Bill this calendar year. Won't be, I think, at least until after the summer, but maybe after that. I was just meeting yesterday with some rice and sugar farmers about that.
A recent U.S. Department of Commerce report shows that Louisiana was the 8th largest state for exports last year, primarily because of our proximity to the Mississippi River. But there have been dredging issues with regard to being able to move traffic consistently and regularly down the Mississippi. You and Senator Barbara Boxer joined forces for the RAMP Act in an effort to kind of spur the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to have more money to keep these dredging operations in place. Where does that situation stand right now?
Well, this is a great example of the bipartisan work I was talking about. Barbara Boxer and I disagree about a whole bunch of stuff. We happen to agree about these water resource projects and the need to use the dredging dollars from industry, comes from industry, supposed to be dedicated to dredging, to use it as it was intended. Right now, in a good year, only about half that money is used on dredging as intended. The rest in a deficit spending is essentially stolen, essentially siphoned off for other programs.
Senator, we're just about out of time, but I'm going to ask you. I saw a recent poll that said if the election for Louisiana's governor in 2015 were held tomorrow, you and Mayor Mitch Landrieu would be in a dead heat.
Oh. I don't know if that's true or not, and I don't know if it'll ever be true or ever be tested. Right now, I'm very happy and very focused on a big job I have and a lot of challenges I have. That race is several years away, so I'm not focused on it. Whether I will be in 9 months or a year, I don't even know.
Well, Senator, always a pleasure to have you on our program.
Thank you.
He is Senator David Vitter of Louisiana, and he will be making the rounds during the spring break, listening to his constituents. And Avery, Congress reconvenes in about 2 weeks. Back to you.